Hi, everybody. It's Gene Simmons, and you're not, and you're listening to the Potter Than Hell podcast with Steve, BC, BB, and Dylan. But you knew that, didn't you?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Potter Than Hell podcast. This is your last stop on the crazy train of hard rock and heavy metal. So sit back, buckle in, and hang on. Here we go.
Hello, Potter Than Hellions. Welcome back to the Potter Than Hell podcast. This is Steve, your host, and I am joined this week by
BB.
And on the keyboards is
Dylan.
And our guest host this week is my other podcasting partner, Mr. Ray Farrow, from the Asylum podcast. Ray, how are you?
Doing great, guys. Thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.
Hey, it's great to finally get you on here. It's been kind of in the works for a while, and I've been on Asylum a couple times. It's always fun, and I'm still waiting for the gladiator battle with Marvin on there. So we're still trying to figure out what to do. The last one was pretty interesting. The one that we were saying, and I won't say what it was in case we do it, but it would be interesting. So Ray, how's things on Asylum going? Speaking of that,
good. For those of you in the audience that don't know, which is probably most of you, it started out as an all Kiss podcast long before I joined the show. It was three cousins. They're all originally from West Virginia. So they've got kind of a unique perspective on Kiss and rock and roll and those sorts of things. And we did all Kiss for, I don't know, probably 2.5 years. And then I joined the show about 2 years ago. And they decided back after the first of the year, after the end of the road tour ended, to shift the focus to doing all things hard rock and metal. So that's kind of what we've done is transition from an all Kiss podcast to a all hard rock and metal podcast, and we're talking about all kinds of different stuff, different topics every week. Kind of what you guys do, blatant rip off of what you guys do, actually. But
that's all right.
Yeah, so far it's going well. We're having a good time. It's just been a lot more fun to do different things, as opposed to just trying to come up with a Kiss topic du jour every week.
Yeah, I've said that for years. It's got to be tough for, and we're not quite finding that out yet on the Queensryche podcast, but like to have a band centric podcast like every week, especially Kiss, because there's so many of them, and it's pretty much impossible to be unique. Although your guys' Gladiator battles was very unique, and I thought it was very cool. I mean, we've done album battles and stuff. We've done Kiss album battles too, but the way you guys did it was really cool. And like I said, I'm hoping to match up against Marvin one of these days. He's slick, though. He is slick on those things, I gotta say. And for those of you that don't know, if you are familiar at all with the Doobie Brothers or Michael McDonald, he's his doppelganger. He looks just like him, so I always call him Michael McDonald. So, Ray, thanks.
There's a resemblance for sure.
There is, and so thanks for coming on, Ray. And as you guys can see from the title, we're going to be talking about Dokken today. We've been doing this for almost 6 years, and we've not done a Dokken episode.
Wow.
Which, I mean, we've talked about them. We've had songs on playlists and everything like that, and we've talked about Don's vocal decline and stuff like that, and we've actually interviewed Don on the podcast, but we'll be talking about our favorite Dokken songs tonight. But before we get going, BB, how are you, buddy?
Doing good. Enjoying this nice weather. I wish spring would actually show up here on the east side of Pennsylvania. It's nice today, and it'll probably freaking snow tomorrow because like
a severe thunderstorm yesterday.
Yeah, it's just absolutely crazy weather here. I'm ready for spring to break and start doing some shit outside. But yeah, other than that, it's kind of quiet down the hill.
That's all right. Nothing wrong with that. How about you, Dylan?
Yeah, just coming off a trip from Maine. That's why I was not on last week's episode. Thankfully, that went okay, but the trip and the episode. Yeah, it was a really fun time. So happy to be back in the studio, though. Even though I will not be giving my Dokken songs because I'm kind of a surface level Dokken fan, so I would just be giving all the hits. Dream Warriors 12 times.
Once is too much. Speaking of last week, it was the Kiss episode we did last week. We had the Kiss crew on. It was myself. Actually, we were outnumbered last week, BB.
Yeah,
it was just
3-2.
me. It was just me and you, and it was the Kiss crew. Was Rob, Scotty, and Granza. So I thought it was cool. Ray, it obviously is not out yet. Today is Monday the 15th, which is happy birthday, Mom. It's my mom's birthday today.
Nice.
And tax day too, I guess. So,
Hope you got them in, Graham.
Yeah.
so, Ray. Last week we did our 5 least favorite Paul Stanley songs, our 5 least favorite Gene Simmons songs, and then we each picked our least favorite song from the solo albums, and then we did another song from, it could be, Eric Singer or Tommy or Bruce or anyone else, or Peter or Ace that's been in the band, and we had a good time doing it, didn't we, BB?
Yeah, I absolutely love when those guys come on because all you have to do is just look at Granza the wrong way and he's gone. He's gone for the whole episode.
I was gonna say it doesn't look like you have a black eye, so you came out in one piece
I
from
know.
Granza.
It wasn't too much of a battle there. A couple here's and there's, but it was a really good time.
Yeah, I think he needed a neck brace the next day for his amount of head shaking he did because everyone had to say their least favorite Paul Stanley songs, and he's a Paul Stanley homer, so
yeah.
he was
looking like Eugene Levy from Splash.
Yeah, he was reluctant to do a Paul list, but he did. So, and that goes to prove that even the most diehard Paul Stanley fan that I know, Chris Granza, can actually say that these are 5 Paul Stanley songs that I like the least. Not like I love everything. So we didn't have to hear any of that.
Did he pick? I'm sure he picked from the most recent 2 studio albums.
No, he had No, 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 and Burn Bitch Burn, I think.
Wow. Wow, from peak Paul era.
I'm like, how? Yeah. And there was another one in there, and I can't remember the first one and his last ones. It's like bookends. The two, the shit in the middle is pretty good.
I think he had Tomorrow and Tonight.
Wow.
Did he? I don't know. Someone did.
Wow.
It was. I was very surprised by the songs he picked that were his least favorite. Definitely one was No, 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 and I don't know, Murder.
No, I forget, but
Bitch Burn.
it wasn't. It wasn't. I think there was one each from Monster and one from Sonic Boom. So, hey, it was a week ago. I can't remember what I did 2 hours ago.
You're lucky I remember what I did this morning, right?
Yeah. So I was gonna say, Dylan obviously didn't edit it yet.
I've not edited it yet. No.
So
lots of time. It's only Monday.
It's only Monday. Yeah, come on.
I hope you guys enjoyed that. It was fun. It's always fun doing the Kiss crew. And BC with his situation at work, it's been hit and miss for him. So he's obviously not here tonight too. So we'll just do the usual. He's on assignment. So, all right, what are we listening to, Ray? Since you haven't been on before, what have you been listening to this week?
Well, I'll tell you what, guys. Our last episode on the Asylum podcast was a big one. We had talked, I don't know, probably a month or so ago about the year 1983, and we just kind of went through everything that went on, in society in 1983. We talked about pop culture, we talked about movies, we talked about TV, and of course we talked about music. And we pulled out probably the 10, 15 albums that we all loved from 1983 and just played snippets of them and then talked about them. And then we had this idea of going back just to the music of 83 on the last episode and giving like a high school letter grade, to each one of the albums that we picked. We had done the same thing for the entire Kiss catalog before we made the switch over. And it was a lot of fun. So we picked 10 albums. I think there was 11 actually from 1983. All of the heavy hitters from that year. So I spent all the last week prepping for that episode. So heavy rotation, Iron Maiden, Peace of Mind, You Can't Stop Rock and Roll, Twisted Sister, Pyromania, from Def Leppard, Accept, Balls to the Wall, Dio, Holy Diver, Shout at the Devil, Bark at the Moon. So it was just kind of my last week has been just nothing but a return to being a 13-year-old in my bedroom, in my parents' basement, and listen to all those classic albums that we graded last week. And other than that, and a whole lot of Dokken, I haven't listened to much else.
All right, cool. Yeah, you know what? And if I had listening to that because I was like, shit, that would have been I want to be on that episode. So I actually I think I called in when you guys did the original episode, and I kind of wrote down the albums and stuff. And if I think about it, I will. When do you guys record again? Thursday? Wednesday? Thursday, right?
Thursday night.
So I'm going to try to call in again because I made some notes and I have some comments too for that episode. I got a lot of problem with you people.
I I was ready to pass out by the time the episode was over from some of the just ridiculous bullshit that was being said by some of my co-hosts. I just couldn't believe it.
The Twisted Sister hate had me like writhing on the floor. I was like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah, it's continuing. I mean, it's still going on in our chat group
in the text group. Yep, still going.
Yeah, Tim's still making remarks every time something comes up, and it's ridiculous. But those guys, man, I tell you, they come out of left field with stuff. Like, they're all supposedly quote unquote hard rock and metal fans, but man, they throw. I mean, you've heard our Now Listening segment. You never know what the hell you're going to get because we actually play pieces of the songs, and man, it's like some of the shit that those guys play every week just blows my mind.
Yeah, there's some. I mean, some stuff I'm like, ooh, that's pretty good. I never even heard of what the fuck that is, but and that's why we do that on this show too. Just maybe put something in someone's mind that they haven't heard in a while, or something that if they kind of through the years, kind of like like my taste in music or BB's or Dylan's, if they hear them say, you might want to check this out, maybe they will. So that's kind of what we our aim when we started doing this like early on and back in the show. BB, what do you got going?
Well, with the shitty weather, I did a little bit of spinning in the vinyl room, I'll call it. I did the self-titled Danger Danger, and then their second album, Screw It. And then on the phone, I'm absolutely loving Crazy Licks. They just released a new album. They have 3 new songs, and then they pulled like the Whitesnake 87 out of their pocket and redid a couple songs from their back catalog. Great melodic hard rock stuff on this stuff. If anybody out there has not really picked up on Crazy Licks, definitely check them out. They are musically fantastic.
They were on Monsters of Rock Cruise last 2 years in a row.
Oh, yeah?
They were good. I enjoyed them. How are you, Dylan?
So I was listening to some Metallica due to an episode that we scrapped.
Yeah.
Listening to that, and I checked out briefly Blue Oyster Cult's new album, Ghost Stories. I think that's probably going to be like a grower album. It's going to be one that I'm going to have to listen to a little more to really get into. It didn't really catch my ear on the first listen, but I'm willing to give it a chance because, I mean, Blue Oyster Cult's fantastic. Eric Bloom still sounds great, I will say. He does the second song, and it sounds exactly like from back in the 80s Eric Bloom, which is really cool.
All right. Yeah, and for me, I dove into the first 3 Rods albums because I just got done reading Carl Kennedy's book, Tales from a Wild Dog. I'll tell you what, if you are a fan of, and actually it kind of ties in with Ray's last episode, 1983, the Rods, they were one of the first, I don't even know what you would call it, new wave of American metal or whatever, like East Coast stuff, because there's stories in there of them playing with Metallica, and they were hooked up with them right when Dave Mustaine got booted out, and Carl, he's the one that recorded the first the EP in the first couple Anthrax albums. He's the one that literally got Joey Belladonna to sing for Anthrax, and the stories go right up to the present day, and there's a lot of guests that write parts in the book and stuff like that. Joey Belladonna does a big part, and a bunch of different guys and stuff like that. So it was really cool. So I was checking out some Rod's stuff.
Did you record your review on Goodreads?
I did not.
You got to do that. You got to boost his numbers.
I did that. You'll have to show me how to do that.
You literally put in that you're reading it, and then you said that you finished it, and you read it.
No, well, I did. I rated it.
Okay, yeah, you're good then. Yeah,
I rated it.
That's what I was asking.
I thought you had said I had to write a.
You could write a review if you want, but no, rating.
I rate all the books that I do.
Okay.
And also, I listened to a little Vinnie Vincent Invasion.
Yeah, righty.
I did but I did All Systems Go first, and then I did the self-titled one. So very cool. And of course, then I had to do the first Slaughter album. I had to do Stick It To You. So that's what we got going. Ray's been binging on 1983, some docking that we're talking about tonight. Dylan was prepping for a Metallica episode that we never did, and the Blue Oyster Cult Ghost Stories. I actually have that album. I forgot that I had ordered that from Gallery of Sound.
Yeah.
And Rob called me on Friday, hey, your album's in. I'm like, what did I order? He's like, the Blue Oyster Cult. I'm like, oh, okay, I forgot that I ordered the goddamn thing. So I picked that up.
That's when you know you have a problem.
Yeah, for sure.
I guess so.
Hi,
I
I'm
guess
Steve
so.
Wright, and I'm a vinyl
I
holic.
know. So actually, I didn't even get to open that one yet. So that's on the shelf. That's in the. I have a section in my records, in my record racks. I call it the bullpen. So it's all the stuff that all the new stuff and the stuff that I'm gonna spin soon. So I have that all. It's in the bullpen. It's in the rotation. BB.
That's right. It's in the rotation.
It didn't get the call yet.
Hey.
So I will check that out. I heard one song and it was okay. That song kind of had to grow on me. So, but I will reserve my judgment for later. So let's do some talking about docking. Yeah. So what we're gonna do is.
Do we not want to do the news or?
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Dylan. Yeah.
Yeah, so a couple news things that popped up. Bruce Dickinson played his first solo show for his recent album, the Mandrake Project. That it was at the Whiskey Go Go Friday, April 12th. And funnily enough, Roy Z is not part of the touring lineup.
Really?
He is not part of the touring lineup. The
Wow.
touring lineup is Dave Moreno on drums, Mystheria on keyboards, Tanya O'Callahan on bass, and then Phil Naslund and Chris DeClerc on guitars. Chris DeClerc apparently was on the Rain on the Grave single. So the set list was Accident of Birth opening up, Abduction from the new album, Laughing in the Hiding... No,
That's not from the album. No.
okay, well, it was the live debut of Abduction. Laughing in the Hiding Bush, Afterglow of Ragnarok, that is from the new album. Chemical Wedding, Many Doors to Hell live debut, Tears of the Dragon, Resurrection Men live debut, Rain on the Graves live debut, cover of Edgar Winter Group's Frankenstein, which I'm sure Bruce sings beautifully.
Uh huh. He did the ba 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 ba.
Little beatbox.
Gods of War, live debut of The Alchemist, and then the main set was Dark Side of Aquarius ended, and then the encore was Jerusalem and Road to Hell. So that's cool. And then in other, reuniting news, Anthrax tagged Dan Lilker, their original bassist, to play fill in for Frankie Bello for the first time in 40 years, because Frankie Bello can't make the South American tour, so they brought in Dan Lilker and played a nice 12-song set. Nothing really crazy on there, except Death Rider. Death Rider's actually kind of cool. But otherwise, Among the Living.
Because he played on that.
Yeah, exactly. Antisocial, Madhouse, Metal Thrash and Mad, Evil Naked Tessin, NFL, Medusa, In the End, Death Rider, I Am the Law, You Got the Time, and ending with Indians. So, cool little touring things for two groups that we enjoy. But I was surprised about the Roy Z.
Yeah, I don't know what's up with that. Unless he's recording with someone else or something.
Yeah, that could be. He's a busy man.
Well, he's definitely not recording with Halford because they're touring. So, Ray, have you checked out the new Bruce Dickinson album at all, or no?
I've not listened to the whole thing. I listened to the one or two advanced tracks that he put out prior to the release, and I wasn't a huge fan. It was a little too Dungeons and Dragon-y for me, I think. That's coming from somebody who likes Dio. I mean, but it was just weird. I don't know. I've never been a huge fan of Dickinson's solo stuff. I don't know what it is. I've given it all a shot. I really like Tears of the Dragon. There's certain songs I really like, but I'll have to check it out. But I've only listened to those first couple songs and was not real thrilled.
Yeah, well, Ray, thanks for coming on. I'll talk to you about Queensrÿche in a couple weeks. I could see that, though. I mean, I like it. I've said it before on the show that I've listened. We were coming back from Monsters of Rock Cruise. I think I listened to that album 3 times that day, and I'm really digging it. And great set list, though. Shit. I mean, fuck. If he plays New York City, we gotta go.
Good selection of new stuff.
Yeah,
which is cool
for sure. We'll get Frank and we'll get tickets and we'll fucking go.
Little Frank ride.
So what do you do? Just was it one Maiden song? Was that it? That whole set?
I don't think any
None.
Maiden songs.
Unless
Alchemist,
unless Alchemist was from.
Final Frontier.
Final Frontier, yeah. But I don't know if he may have a song Alchemist though on the new album. Maybe I don't know.
Yeah, I'll double check that.
Yeah, so I'm not sure on that one though. But cool that I'm glad he's doing shows, and I would love to catch a Bruce show because we're going to see Maiden in I want to say November 1st. I think we're going, excuse me, to Philly, and so that'll be cool. So that was it, right, though?
Yep, that was it.
Right. So, and as you can hear, every quad and motorcycle in northeastern Pennsylvania is driving by my house since we've started to.
It's off of the Chemical Wedding.
It is okay. I thought so.
So it's not a Maiden song.
It is not a Maiden song.
Well, it's not the Maiden song.
It's not the It is a Maiden song, but I don't think, unless they are the same song.
No, they're not. Well, because the one on the Maiden album is The Alchemist, and I think it's just Alchemist.
No, they're both The Alchemist.
Oh, they are both
yeah.
the. Oh, okay.
Yeah. And I don't know. I don't think it's a If Eternity Should Fail and Eternity Has Failed situation.
That wasn't in the set list, though, was it?
No, it was not. So even that he did not do.
Yeah, Ray, if you do anything, just check out that version and see what you think about it. It was like the original version of If Eternity has failed.
If Eternity Should Fail is the
If Eternity Should
Book
Fail
of Souls version.
is the Book of Souls version, and Eternity Has Failed is the Bruce one. I think it's better. I love it. I think it's fucking fantastic.
I'd stay on a lot because it's a really good song.
I do too. But I was like, there's like a totally ripping solo in it. I was like, holy fuck. So, sorry, Maiden. You should have left well enough alone. All right. So now we will do some talking about Dokken. BC's not here, but I do have his list. And, we'll comment on whatever. I'm sure there's going to be crossovers because we did not share our lists. When it's your turn up there, let us share how you got into Dokken, how you were aware of them, like maybe first album you have you seen them live? And if you had listened to the new album, I think we talked about it before, but we can kind of refresh on that. And if you had listened to it, what you think about it. So who's going first, Dylan?
Let's have BB.
All right. I'm kind of late to the Dokken party. I did not get into Dokken until Back for the Attack in '87. I'm only not quite 15 yet, so I'm 14. Not in my wheelhouse, and I think it's just more of we didn't have MTV yet.
No.
Very rarely did I, even remember listening to the stuff from Rock 107 that would play actual Dokken. If I ever heard of them, I may have recorded it off of, remember like USA Hits?
USA
Network?
Video Hits or something.
It was on like at 2 in the morning. I would set the VCR up. But
might have seen like Breaking the Chains on that or something.
Yeah, so I'm like very late to the Dokken game. My buddy, brother, Chris Wagner, his brother Scott, had this album. Like, boy, this guy's vocals are just amazing. Like, who is this? I had never heard of Dokken. So what did I do after I heard it? Walked down Ames and got Back for the Attack, and then kind of worked my way back because I didn't know the other albums as I saw them there, but I wanted that one. So they were not in my wheelhouse. 87. It's I guess I'm stuck in that really big hair, more popular radio stuff, and I usually got a lot of my musical stuff from almost like you back in the day, like my buddy's older brother. So that's my foundation of Dokken. I probably seen them a fistful of times. They always played M3. They're always in a 80s bill here at Penn's Peak at our local. I've probably seen Dokken at least 10 times. Has to be. The coolest thing, we saw our first M3, we walked right into the hotel, and Don Dokken was sitting at the bar all by himself, and we're like, hey, is that Dokken? And we were like, whoa, that's cool, he's in the same hotel. And little did we know, like, all the bands were in the hotel. And I think one of the last times I saw Dokken was the time we went with Granza to that casino when I almost ran him over. Because I got lost. I went to the bathroom and I got lost, and I'm in like a back hallway, and I opened this door to go outside, and I ran into him. I almost knocked him over. He goes, geez, it's usually women that are trying to knock me over. I'm like, all right, now I'm going to be a dick. Can I have a picture? He's like, yeah.
Well, that was at Mount Airy, the outside thing.
Yes. It was them and like Warrant and...
He was like,
somebody
you
else.
could have a picture. You could also have this. This is your summons to court.
Yeah.
You hit me with that door, you son of a bitch. But yeah, I absolutely love Dokken. I even the newer album. I think that vocal range, he stays pretty much in his pocket. He knows where his vocals go, and he doesn't try to leave that little comfort zone that he has, compared to a lot of these other guys out there. So, my list. I had to dwindle down to like 32 songs. Then it went to about 17. Then I'm like, I want to kind of bring out maybe a couple songs that's really good. Maybe like something from the newer stuff that sounds old. You know, just to get one or two songs kind of out there, and you know, maybe somebody out there has never heard of. And then I kind of cross-referenced it with their greatest hits. I didn't want too many hits on there, so I think I came up with a pretty solid list that kind of pretty much covers a lot of ground for Dokken for all these years and all their albums. So song number 10, I'm going to go to the album Dysfunctional. A very hidden gem on this album is Lesser of Two Evils. And it's not the one that you thought I was going to pick, Randy. I liked it because it's 1995. That's kind of when music, you know, back then it was changing. But Dokken played. They stayed pretty close to their pocket where they're good, where they sound better. George has this little bit of a different distortion that you're used to the George Lynch sound from the 80s. It's almost like a little Van Halen tapping parts in there, which kind of caught my ear. But you can definitely hear the Lynch sound in that song. And then my other kind of hidden gem, I'm going to go to Long Way Home. My song number 9 is Under the Gun. This was released in 2002, but it pretty much sounds like old Dokken. You know, Don's, he's probably 50 years old at the time. He still has some great vocals on this album. In the solo, the guy who plays guitar on there is a guy from the band Europe, John Norum. Solo in it is great. Yeah, another great song, pretty much that sounds like old Dokken from something that they released from 2002. My song number 8, I'm going to go to Tooth and Nail for Alone Again. A great building song, showcases Don's somewhat softer vocals in the beginning of the song and the band's backing harmonies. The solo, this song's a little bit heavier than the song, which is really, really cool. And I love when Don hits those high-pitched parts. There's almost like screaming vocals towards the end. And then like he drops down in his last line of the song is very, very soft. I love when he does that. Song number 7, we're going to go to Under Lock and Key, to It's Not Love. I love the whammy bar squeals in the beginning of the song that George does. There's a great chugging riff in there. The bridge has a great call and response. The chorus is super catchy, and the outro solo is fucking great. My song number 6, from Back for the Attack, Heaven Sent. I love the kick in after the first verse. The harmonies, once again, from this band are amazing, especially at the chorus here. There's some cool stop and start guitar parts. It's cool right before the solo, then another killer outro solo, which I think George is pretty much killing at this point in time. His outro solos are so good. My song number 5, again from Under Lock and Key, Unchain the Night. Always love this song. Don and the backing vocals again are so good. I probably say this a little bit too much. Just these band harmonies are great in this band. The echoing effect right before the chorus that George uses is really, really good. The drums are killer and out front with this song, which I haven't really talked about. That's one of those things that you really don't hear a Dokken song. You know, the drums are really good in this. Mick really kills it on that song. Song number 4 from Breaking the Chains, the title track, Breaking the Chains. Kind of where it all started. First song, first album. The foundation where Dokken was going for the next 4 albums for sure. Don's vocals are great. George's playing is just fucking killer. Once again, more great band backing vocals. My song number 3 from Erase the Slate, The Maddest Hatter, Red Beach. If BC was here, we'd be like, Red Beach. He just brings it to this song. He just absolutely kills it on guitar. And this outro solo is like the crazy sick bananas. If there was an outro solo, absolutely bananas, because it just revs up and goes like outer space. Song number 2 from Back for the Attack, The Kiss of Death. George's killer galloping riffs, mix on drums. Great start to a song. Super fast right out of the gate. They're flying in all cylinders at this point. I love heavy, fast Dokken. And then my number one song from Under Lock and Key, Lightning Strikes Again. I probably said this a couple times on the podcast. I always kind of throw this in there. I love this song. Don's screaming vocals, pretty much the highlight of this song. Heavy, fast Dokken are right in the pocket that I like. The solo is fucking sick bananas. And like I said, it's definitely my favorite Dokken song of all times. So, Ray, you have any gripes about my list, my friend?
Yes.
I have no gripes whatsoever. No, it's a great list. I'm not as familiar with Under the Gun. That's one when you said it, I was trying to visualize it in my head or hear it in my head, and I just couldn't place what it is. So I'll have to go back and check that one out. But Lesser of Two Evils, I love the Dysfunctional album. I'm a huge fan of that record. Very few tracks on there that I don't really like, so that was a great pick. Alone Again, I mean, classic. That's one of the ones I was going to pick, but I didn't because I figured everybody else would have it on the list, or at least it would come up. You know, It's Not Love. I mean, awesome choice. I mean, that's a video you couldn't get away from back in the day, man. That thing seemed like it was on MTV. What was that 30-minute thing they would do like in the middle of the day? That Metal Mania, I forget what it was called, but it was like seemed like it was the lead-off video on that show every day. It was just everywhere. Heaven Sent, that's another one of those things. Like Steve, you always mentioned, like I can't hear that song without seeing the video in my head. Them in that cemetery and Dawn with the hat on, and just that's like the perfect Dokken look. You know what they looked like in that video, and just a great song. I mean, Unchained the Night. I mean, forget about it. It's a lead-off track to one of the best albums of the era. It's fantastic. Breaking the Chains, great song from a really, in my opinion, shit album. I think that album is terrible. I listened to it again today, trying to find some redeeming qualities. And other than that song and Paris is Burning, it's like a shit sandwich in between, man. It's got two good pieces of bread on the outside, but the in between is just not my thing.
Yes.
If their second album would have sounded like that, we wouldn't be having this conversation today. But Breaking the Chains is so great, though. It's like, how do you go from that to like the rest of that album? Because like even the production quality of it, like half of that album sounds like demos. Whereas Breaking the Chains, sounds like a really good, well-produced song. Maddest Hatter, I love that song until the very end. The last 40 seconds of that song get on my nerves when Dawn's like going, it just drives me nuts. I always like skip at that point. But up to that point, it's great. I love the chorus, the I Want the Ordinary Life part. The harmonies are great. Yeah, it's really strong, too. That end really gets on my nerves. I mean, Kiss of Death, as you guys would say, I mean, come on, that song is as good as it gets, in terms of a mid '80s era hair metal song. I mean, it's heavy, it's crunchy, it's about sex. I mean, it's got everything you could possibly want in a song. And Lightning Strikes Again. We're going to hear about that one again in a little bit. Nice. No, great list, man.
All right, thank you. All righty, what do you think?
All right, Lesser of Two Evils. That's you know what I kind of skimmed over that, and I was like, oh, all right, cool, but I like it, but you know what? I it's not drilled into my head like a lot of the other stuff.
Yeah, no, I know. No,
Under the Gun, kind of the same thing.
Yeah,
but really,
like I said, now now you guys can go back and just at least check 2 songs out.
Absolutely. That's why I like doing this. Alone Again, you'll hear about again. It's Not Love is great. It's Not Love is just a fantastic song. Just we'll laugh that shit tonight. Heaven Sent, that's a really, really good melodic song. That's one that's like on between like Under Lock and Key and Back for the Attack. Like they could have made a video for any song on either one of them freaking albums. Heaven Sent, I think, is a video too, right? I want to say.
Yeah, it's the one in the graveyard.
Right, yeah, in the graveyard, yeah. Fantastic. And Unchained the Night, you'll hear about that later. Breaking the Chains, that was... I did an episode with Tom and Zeus on Dorm Damage about, I don't know, maybe a year ago. And we did like 5 hair metal bands and stuff like that. And we talked about Breaking the Chains was one of the albums we talked about. And at that point, of course, like with any show, you always want to give your guests like a lead time to listen to stuff or whatever. And I hadn't listened to that one in a long time. And I always dismissed that album. I'm like, oh, that sucks. Breaking the Chains and Paris is Burning at the end are kind of like bookends on that album.
That's it.
But when I listened to it, I was surprised that how much I didn't hate it as much as I thought I hated it.
Okay.
Yeah. But Breaking the Chains is fantastic. Like you said, perfect one. It started it all for those guys. Great starting point for those guys. And Ray was right too that if Tooth and Nail sounded like this, we wouldn't be talking about them probably for sure. But you could see, and I like when you hear stuff like that, you get the little nuggets of shit that's gonna come.
No.
That was a weird way to put that, but you know what I mean. But like you kind of get a little glimpse of the future of stuff that you can get from these guys when you hear that. Manus Hatter, you'll hear about that again. Kiss of Death, man, what a way to open an album. Oof. That is just freaking fantastic. I was gonna put that on my list, but I'm like, someone's definitely gonna have that, maybe even more than one. But that song just fucking rips. Yeah. It's just killer. The soloing in it is great. Just absolutely freaking love it. Lightning Strikes Again. You may hear about that one again later as well. But good solid list, and I got two to give a better listen to out of your list there, BB. Good job.
Yeah. Like I said, I just wanted to, not be so much of a ground baller and get all the hits out there. Yeah, definitely check them out. Especially the solos are really, really good.
All right, I will check them out. So John Norum was that first solo, right?
Yeah, from Europe. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think he was from Under the Gun.
Yeah, I forgot that he was on that. I hear I think John Levin, but he's on later.
He's in the Beatles.
He's the sixth Beatle. All right, coolness. Who's next, Dylan?
Let's have our guest, Ray, do the next list.
All right. Well, unlike BB, my list has a lot of hits on it because this band just cranked out one after another. I guess what we would consider hits. I mean, they weren't like top 40 hits, but they were like hair metal, 14-year-old long-haired Ray considered them a hit. So long-haired Ray, who's now completely bald almost.
I was going to say, as opposed to no hair Ray.
Yeah, exactly. So I've got a few deep cuts on here. I mean, I have some honorable mentions too, because it was hard to pare this list down. Just difficult. To give you my history with the band. I mean, my first experience with Dokken actually happened at a church camp, believe that or not. But my mom used to send me to this weekend retreat thing at this church camp that was in our area. And little did she know that the dudes that all went to this church camp were all like metalheads, and all we did the entire weekend was sit in the woods with a boombox and listen to metal music. And that was the first time I heard Dokken. And I heard the Breaking the Chains album. One of my buddies that was there had it on cassette. I like Breaking the Chains. I didn't really care for that much of the other album, or the rest of the album. But then, I don't know, probably a year or so later, maybe 2 years later, MTV had this thing where they were doing a countdown of the top 25 heavy metal videos of all time up to that point. And I remember setting the VCR to record it. And I want to say it was number 24 was a song called Alone Again by a band called Dokken, which I'd completely forgotten about. And I loved the video, loved the song. I'd never seen the video before until I watched this VHS tape back. And that got me reinterested in them. I went out, I bought Tooth and Nail, and the rest is history from there. Been a fan ever since. My first experience seeing them live was opening for Twisted Sister on the Come Out and Play tour in Pittsburgh, at the Civic Arena in downtown Pittsburgh. That was the best seats I'd ever had at a concert to that point. It was probably my, third or fourth, maybe fifth concert I'd been to. We were right down front, about 6 rows back. I was a huge fan of both bands, and it was just awesome to see Dokken, on the Under Lock and Key tour that close up, and being a 15-year-old, however old I was, just an incredible experience. Saw them a couple years later. Not as great of an experience on the Monsters of Rock tour that they did with Van Halen and Scorpions, Metallica, Dokken, and Kingdom Come, I believe was the other band. Yes. It's a little fuzzy. It was 2 weeks after I graduated, and we got absolutely shit-faced in the parking lot outside of the old Three River Stadium that day, and I barely remember Kingdom Come even being on the stage, to be honest with you. It was like 1,000 degrees that day, so I sweated the alcohol out pretty quickly, and by the time Dokken got on, it was back to being coherent. But they weren't great that day, to be honest. Like, it's the whole stadium show thing just didn't fit them very well. I don't know. I think they were really in turmoil at that time too. So
they were going through the motions then.
Yeah, 100%. And they played after Metallica, which was a mistake. I think it was after Metallica. They got blown off the stage, by Metallica making on the Master of Puppets tour. And it was something to behold. But I've seen them a couple times after that. I've probably seen them 6 times total. I saw them on the Dysfunctional tour at a little club in Pittsburgh called Metropole, which was a great venue. I saw Iron Maiden there when Blaze Bayley was the lead singer, which was something. I've seen Queensryche there. A couple other, the bigger bands have played there over the years. It's unfortunately no longer with us. I was first row for that one, right in front of George Lynch, which was pretty awesome. He gave me a handful of picks, when he slapped my hand, which was fun. A couple times after. I've not seen them in a long time, but it's probably been 15 years since the last time I saw them. They were just here. Don and his current version of the band were just here. At the time, it was right after the new album came out, and I listened to it a couple of times. I wasn't really digging what I was hearing. I watched some of the live videos and just wasn't impressed with the product he was putting out. And then after it happened, I kind of got into the new album a lot more than I did initially, and now I'm feeling some regret. Like, I wish I would have gone. Even if it wouldn't have been the way I wanted to remember Don Dokken, at least I could have seen them one more time, because I really don't know how much more they've got left in the tank. He's getting old, his voice is going, and I should have went. I wish I would have, but anyway, so that's my history with the band. Been a fan. I kind of dipped out after probably, I would say Erase the Slate was the last album I really, really liked. I got them all over the years. Now that I've gone back, probably in the last 5-6 years, and listened to a lot of the back catalog, I realized I was missing out on some pretty good stuff over those years where I was really not paying much attention to their new material. And this past weekend, whenever I originally thought we were recording Wednesday night, and then Steve said over the weekend, "Are you ready for Monday?" I'm like, "Oh shit!" So I did a Dokken cram over the weekend while I was doing some stuff around the house, listening to all those later albums again for the first time in quite a while. So my list is a little bit classic era Dokken heavy. I've got a little bit from the later period, but just to kind of give you some background of where I'm coming from. So without further ado, the list. My number 10 song is from Back to the Attack. Kind of a deep cut song I've always liked. That's Sleepless Nights. Deep cut off of side 2. It's got kind of a peppy riff. It's kind of a happy sounding song. It's just like a fun song. It's different than a lot of the stuff that they've done. Not that they're a super heavy band, but it's just a different kind of vibe, and I've always really, really enjoyed that song. My number 9 is Tooth and Nail, but not the Tooth and Nail version. I got to go with the version that's on the One Live Night semi-acoustic album that they did. Mick Brown does the lead vocals on that. I just love the groove that they put behind this song. Just a really good reinterpretation of a classic metal song, like done completely different. Background harmonies are great. I think Mick does a great job on the vocals. And I've always just loved at the end when Don Dokken says, "Hey, not bad for a drummer." I just always thought that was funny. Number 8, title track from Erase the Slate. I love that album. I love that song. I like the countdown that he does at the beginning. I'm assuming it's Mick Brown counting the song in at the very beginning. Song just takes off like it's shot out of a cannon. Very hard, heavy riff, double bass just pumping. Just a kind of a frantic sounding chorus, and Reb's solo is just, as you guys would say, a Sick Bananas solo. And he just tears it up on that entire album. Just a really, really great kickoff to an album. I'm going to go back to Back for the Attack for my number 7. Another deepish cut, I guess. It's pretty early on side 1, but a song you don't hear a lot about, and that's Prisoner. Just have always loved that song. Love the sound of the guitar at the beginning of the song. I like the kind of the mellow verses, the way Don delivers the vocal with the strumming of the guitar behind it. Just a great chorus. Really good bridge, some gang vocals in there, and I mean, you don't even have to say it for every song. The guitar solos are fantastic, and George Lynch just rips it up on every single song that he plays on. Number 6 for me is just a classic from Tooth and Nail, and that's Into the Fire. Cheesiest, hokiest video you can remember, really. But I just remember watching that video and just thinking how amazingly cool it was back in the day. You watch it now and it's kind of funny, but that song is just so iconic and so classic. The big kind of thunderous introduction, and then it goes down to the acoustic part of the vocals, and then picks back up into the chorus and has that really cool, like, kind of soaring in thing where it's like, into the fire at the end. Just super, super cool tune. My number 5 is from Dysfunctional. And Steve, this is one of those songs, if we were doing a Queensryche album, I would bet you don't like. Because I usually like the stuff that you don't. And that song is The Maze. That song to me is just, it's a perfect Dawkins song. It's different. It's kind of Beatle-y, I would say, at the beginning. Kind of the acoustic part, the vocals are kind of Beatle reminiscent. Just great vocal delivery when the band kicks in, when he sings the Wandering Around Inside without a key part. The drums just sound like thunder. The guitar sounds amazing. Great guitar solo. The thing about that solo that really gets me is like Jeff Pilson's bass underneath it is just like a driving bass beat, bass rhythm, I guess you'd say, underneath that solo. Just really, really strong song that I've always loved. Number 4, we already talked about Kiss of Death. I mean, I'm not sure what else you can say about that song. It's an incredible lead-off track to an album. Just an incredible song overall. Don's vocal delivery is great. The guitar is just ripping throughout the entire song. The drums are, pretty forward. I think back in the day that was kind of a progressive-y kind of song. They were talking about making sure you wear condoms and things like that, so you don't end up getting AIDS. They were one of the first bands to really sing about that. Number 3, another classic for me from Tooth and Nail, kickoff track on side 2, When Heaven Comes Down. Just that opening riff of that song, the whole vibe of that song is just kind of dark and very heavy. The drums, I think, BB, you mentioned that the drums aren't super forward in a lot of Dawkins songs, but that's one where they really are. Like when the drums kick in on that song, it's like getting punched in the face. Just such a great chorus. Just everything about that song is exactly what I want to hear from Dawkins. My number 2 is your number 1, Lightning Strikes Again. I love the heavy, fast Dawkins tunes, and I was trying to pare down my list, which I started with about 40 songs also, pared it down to 20, and then trying to get it down to 10 was almost impossible. But like Turn on the Action, Don't Close Your Eyes, Bullets to Spare, all those heavier, faster tunes I just love. But I think Lightning Strikes Again is far and away the best of the bunch. And then my number 1, call it cliche, but In My Dreams is one of the most perfectly written, perfectly performed, perfectly produced songs of this entire era. I think it's their best overall song. I've got a little bit of fatigue from hearing it so many times over the years, but man, what a great song. I mean, just from the opening harmony, it's got one of those guitar solos that like you can like sing it, you know it so well. And I just remember that video was so cool, them being in the rain and George playing that solo and hitting the drums with the rain coming off of them. It's just such an iconic image and such an iconic song. I could not rank it anywhere but number 1. So that's my list. So what do you think, Steve?
All right. I'm going to go from the bottom to the top on this one too. Sleepless Night, you may hear about later. Tooth and Nail, that acoustic one, I got to check that out. I'm not really that familiar with that. I know that, Ray, I know we talked about that when we did the Queensryche acoustic episode. I know we talked about this Dawkins album, and I still haven't had a really chance to really check it out, but I will have to check that out. Erase the Slate, that song just rips. I mean, come on.
Reb,
let's go. But I know what you're talking about, Ray, when he does that screaming and shit at the end. But I just like how the tempo seems to ramp up.
Yeah.
Like during that. I really like that. Prisoner. Friggin' that just missed my list. Prisoner is fantastic. And I'll actually talk about kind of the Back for the Attack album as a whole when I do my list. But Prisoner's great, and that's another one that you could have plucked that off of there and did a cool, cheesy 80s video for. Into the Fire, yeah, that video is okay, come on guys, when you watch it now. But it was cool. All that, I don't give a shit. Even the cheesiest video from back in the day, and this one is no exception. People rag on that, like Cherry Pie, shit like that. That shit, we thought that was the fucking cat's
Who
ass.
rags on Cherry
right?
Pie? That's one of the best videos ever.
I know, but people
Come
are
on.
but I'm like,
We
holy
were talking about Bark at the Moon on the last Asylum episode, how ridiculously cheesy that video is, but it's just so incredibly awesome because it's so cheesy.
It is.
It's just fantastic.
You can't, and I'm sure that's probably not what they were going for at the time. But you know what? That's how it worked out, and I think it makes it even better.
Yeah.
The Maze, I gotta revisit that one. That one I'm not really up on. So that's 3 songs I gotta go back to on the list so far tonight. And I think you had When Heaven Comes Down next, right?
Yes.
Yeah, When Heaven Comes Down. Great song. I remember seeing that live for the first time. That was one of those songs, and I'll talk about another one when I do my list, that, some songs, they stick in your head the first time you see it live. And it may have been, it's not to the point of, for me, The Evil That Men Do, where I hated it and then I loved it after I saw it live. But it was kind of a song that I was like, okay, this is okay. But then when I saw it live, it made me absolutely love the song. Kiss of Death, that song is, to kick off the Back for the Attack album, was amazing. And actually, that song, when Ray, you talked about seeing them with Twisted Sister, I'll talk about that show in a little bit. And Dylan just looked it up for me. I want to say we were the first show in Binghamton for that tour, and Kiss of Death was the live debut of that show in Binghamton.
On the Twisted Sister tour? That was under Lock and Key they were touring for that time.
I thought so. I must be the wrong. They must have played again up there.
Yeah, Back for the Attack is the tour that they apparently debuted Kiss of Death.
Oh, so that's not the one. It was the tour before, because I have a song in there that I know they did first on that show. So they debuted that on, and actually they debuted it in Binghamton, but I wasn't at that show. So just strike that part there. One of my usual. It's not a show if I don't fuck up at least once. Kiss of Death, and then you have When Lightning Strikes Again. You'll hear about that again later, and In My Dreams. You'll hear about that one later too. It could be from me. It could be from BC, because I know both lists. I'm just saying.
BB, what did you think of my list?
Yeah, number 10, Sleepless Nights. Great song. It made my 40 cut. It didn't make my 20 cut, but great song. Super good deep track. When you hear that, you know that's classic Dokken. Your song 9, Tooth and Nail from One Live Night. That is, me being the acoustic guy, I listened to that today because you may hear something from that album a little bit later. That album is so good. I played it twice today. And it really, it's a lot for me to sit down and actually play an album twice, back to back.
It's my favorite Unplugged album.
Oh my
God,
it is
100%
so good.
Unplugged because George rips the solos on electric guitar, but it is so fucking good. It is just, from the first note to the last note, it's damn near perfect.
I've never listened to it.
There you go.
All the
Man,
way.
you
Oh my
got a
God.
lot of homework,
Come on,
Righty.
dude.
Holy cow. No, great album.
I've heard a couple songs, but I've never listened to it in its entirety.
Yeah. Song number 8, Erase the Slate. Like we said before, Reb Beach, he was a great addition to Dokken back in the day. Fucking tears it up. Great album. Song number 7, Prisoner. That was on my 20. That was on my 20 cut list. Great song. Song number 6, Into the Fire. Once again, another classic Dokken song. Was on my 20 cut list. Song number 5, The Maze from Dysfunctional. This is my surprise. I was surprised you picked this because I think just the different sound of that song that it brings, like you said, how it's almost like Beatlesque. Very surprised, but not disappointed. I do enjoy that song. Song number 4, which was my number 2, Kiss of Death. Great song. Song number 3, When Heaven Comes Down. Another great hidden deep gem cut. This is just one of those songs. You hear it, boom, you know it's Dokken. Great stuff. Lightning Strikes Again. No, your number 2 was my number 1. And In My Dreams, I don't know. I think the repeat of In My Dreams, it dropped. It was in my 20 because I wanted to at least, make sure it was mentioned. Like, you know what? I think that's probably one of the more popular Dokken songs. I'm like, you know what? Somebody has to have it on their list, so I kind of scratched it out in a way, but definitely not a bad song. Ray, great list. Love how you threw the Maze in there.
Yes, Steve, you got to check out the Maze. It's a cool song. I will. Yeah. I don't know. It's not like Just Us. You tore apart on our last Queensryche episode that I loved and you hated, but it's definitely a different kind of tune.
Okay, I mean, I know I've heard it before, but it's I didn't go over that. It wasn't on my radar as I was picking my songs going through. But I got two from BB. I got one from you. So all right, so we got BB's and we have Ray's list. So Ray is going to introduce our. I'm under the impression that I need to change the title of the gem song to something else because every time I say that when I have a guest on, they don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. So.
Well, it's not that you have the gem song; it's you have a gem and you have a hidden gem. It's
right. So that's why I need to change that. So it's called the halftime song today. So Ray's going to introduce our halftime song, and then Dylan's going to play it. We're going to come back for our hidden gems. What do you got, Ray?
All right, the song I chose is from the new album from the End Machine, and I'm sure most of your listeners know, but if you don't, the End Machine is basically Dokken without Don Dokken. It's George Lynch, Jeff Pilson, and Wild Mick Brown. And their new singer on the new album, his name, I'm going to butcher it. I think it's Girish Pradham, however you say that. The album is called The Quantum Phase, was released in March of 2024. And if you haven't listened to this album yet, you really need to because it just freaking rips from start to finish. The song I chose is called Silent Winter.
Silence is our enemy.
All right, we're back. Ray, thanks for picking our halftime song today. That's just an interim name for it now, okay? I'm just saying that. And Ray picked Silent Winter from the End Machine. So we're going to go into our hidden gems now. And let's hear from BB.
All right. First, I want to kind of throw out a little plug for a local friend of mine. Her daughter has a song out on YouTube. So you remember the Fendrock girls from Brook Street, right, Righty?
I do.
So the youngest one I graduated with, Darlene, her daughter, if you are under YouTube, if you search Abby Riley, Reilley, there is a song that she uploaded. It's called Done. Unfortunately, it is a little bit not in our genre of music, but still a really good song. So please, everybody out there, at least give it a view, a listen, or whatever they do in YouTube land, however they count them. I think it's views, but give it a listen. You know, maybe your wife, maybe your younger daughter like myself, they'll actually enjoy it. It's I think she's a young girl. She's probably only 20, trying to make a little side music business. So like I said, her name is Abby Riley, and the song is called Done.
All right.
So my hidden gem, Righty.
Okay.
Let's go back to an album that Ray already talked about, One Live Night. Like I said, I played that twice today, and I could not stop hitting repeat when I got to Just Got Lucky. Jeff Pilson singing lead vocals, Don Dokken on bass.
Oh, really?
Yeah. They flip-flop. Mix back there with a tambourine, and he's got a couple of maracas going, and of course George just tearing it up. I absolutely if we did like live, I don't know. This song was climbing in my Don Dokken catalog for sure. It is so good. Jeff almost has I almost feel like he's like a lost, like he's like a southern, like there's some southernness to him, but I checked where he's actually born in Illinois. He almost he almost has like an Allman Brother sound in parts. Like there's so like he turns it into his own. I'm like, boy, that sounds so fucking good. So definitely, like I said, from One Live Night, Just Got Lucky, Jeff Pilson, lead vocals.
I'm glad you brought that up because that is such a killer performance. He reminds me of Tommy Shaw, his voice.
Okay, yeah, I can see that.
He's just a very underappreciated musician and talent, man. That dude can sing his ass off. I mean, it's literally one of the best vocals in the entire Dokken catalog, and that's taken nothing away from Don. I know people shit on Don all the time and say that he's not powerful enough and he wasn't a wailer like some of those guys were, but I love Don Dokken's vocals. I think, like someone said earlier, he stays in his pocket and he knows where he sounds good, and he just always puts that on the record. And I think he knows what he does well and what he doesn't do well. But man, that Jeff Pilson vocal is so good. I mean, I listened to it today also. It would have absolutely been on my list if I wouldn't have known you were picking it for your hidden gem, but it's so good.
All right, Dylan, what do you got? You got one first today, right?
I do, yes. First off, maybe Tommy Shaw from The Mission, your favorite album.
That's right.
Bastard.
Wait till we do the newest one.
Was that Big Bang Theory?
No, that's
an old
long ago.
one. Also, they're Maracas. Morocco is the company.
Oh, Maracas.
Not the
Maracas.
Marakoviches either.
Oh,
Yeah,
no.
And flamenco guitar. Next time we do that
Flamingo.
as well. Not flamingo
Look at
guitar.
the Pelicans.
Yeah, my hidden gem actually came about thanks to the episode that we didn't record. This band popped up in the rotation of that episode, and I decided to give them a full listen to because it was a band that I had always, heard about but never fully dove into. Corrosion of Conformity, the 1994 album Deliverance. It is really good. I don't know why I never listened to it before, but they're great. They're like a kind of a stoner rock, almost with a grunge-esque tinge to them. Really great stuff. Fantastic guitar work. The vocals are really cool. I don't know why they always slip past my radar, but I think I'm gonna become a Corrosion of Conformity fan.
Clean My Wounds. Is that on that album?
Clean My Wounds is on there. Yep.
Love it. Love that song.
Yeah, and the song Albatross was the one that piqued my ear from the episode that we have not recorded. So yeah, Corrosion of Conformity, the 1994 album Deliverance.
All right.
Not the banjo, with John Voight.
I will go next, since I'll probably be picked next to do my list. Well, I'll be going next regardless of whether BC's or my own. So I picked from the 2015 album, one of the 8,000 solo projects that George Lynch has going, and it's from the first Sweet Lynch album, song called Dying Rose. I think it's the second track on the album. Fantastic guitar playing. Michael Sweet's vocals are fantastic. He's not that really crazy high screaming that you get on a lot of the Striper stuff. Speedway is still open, by the way, and so Ray, I don't know if you have checked any of those Sweet Lynch albums out. They're really good. They are very good, and actually there's some really cool videos on YouTube of them recording that first album, because I think it's James Lomenzo, I think, is on bass.
Yeah. And
then it's Brian Tichy on drums, and it's George Lynch and Michael Sweet. So it's really cool seeing that stuff as it's being recorded. So absolutely check that out. And Ray, what's your hidden gem today, buddy?
Well, my hidden gem, I went with a Dokken song. Because like I said earlier in the show, I had to kind of revisit a lot of the later catalog this past weekend. And I hadn't listened to the Broken Bones album probably since it came out, maybe a couple of times after that. But there was a song on there that just grabbed me. I forgot how much I liked it. And that song's called Waterfall. Really, really strong tune. It's got a great opening, great main riff. Really strong background vocals. It's just a cool song. Like it's very, I don't say it's different. I mean, it's a pretty good rockin' dockin' song, but just a really good hidden track that I hadn't listened to in many years. So from the Broken Bones album, Waterfall, check it out.
All right, coolness. So there's our hidden gems for today, and but before we do that, the song that Ray picked, "Silent Winter" from the End Machine, the drummers actually, as Dylan would say, we have Wild Mick Brown in Dokken. His brother Steve Brown is the drummer in Tesla right now, and he also drums on this album. So what would you call him, Dylan?
I said Mild Mick Brown, but I don't think that's fair to him. He's a fine drummer.
Mild Steve Brown.
Mild Steve Brown, yeah. He's
Dude's contagious.
Yeah, he's a pretty good drummer. We saw him with Tesla.
He is good. He's very good.
Though I was disappointed by Tesla's set list, but that is neither here nor there. He's it's just funny to rhyme wild with mild.
and not Steve Brown that plays on the Ace Frehley album either.
No. Really? Yeah, it's not Charlie Brown.
It is not. So that's what we got going. I had Dying Rose from Only to Rise from Sweet Lynch. BB had Just Got Lucky with Jeff Pilson on vocals and Don Dokken on bass from One Live Nights. Dylan had some Corrosion of Conformity, the Deliverance album.
Do you want to try that again? Corrosion of Conformity.
What did I say?
Not even close.
No? Okay. That's because I fucking hate them. Okay. And Dylan had the album Deliverance from Corrosion of Conformity that we were going to do, like I said before, we're going to do a Metallica episode, and we ended up not doing it. But we'll put it on the burner, though, Dylan. We will revisit that, though. And Ray had the song Waterfall from the Broken Bones Dokken album. So we're going to get back into the lists. And so who's next, me or BC, Dylan?
Let's go with BC.
All right.
We'll save your list for last.
Okay, sounds good. All right, so like I said before, BC was unable to be here, but he did send me his list. I just have to find it. Oh, there we go. I will go from 10 up as well. He has Sunless Days, which I'm not sure what album that's on. He has Empire from, I think that's from Broken Bones albums, I think. And yes. That's the opening track, actually, on that album, I believe. Good track. I think that's great. Yeah. He has Too High to Fly from Dysfunctional. Kiss of Death from Back for the Attack. Don't Close Your Eyes. Crazy Mary Goes Round from Erase the Slate with Wild Mick Brown on vocals on that one. Lost Behind the Wall on from Back for the Attack. Bullets to Spare. And Alone Again from Tooth and Nail. And his number one track is, and I'm not sure, he didn't say if these were favorite ones. I would say probably not. I'd say he just threw these ones out there that he wanted us to check out. And he also has Lightning Strikes Again on there for his number one. So
my evil twin.
Yeah. So what do you think, BB?
Yeah, that's definitely
that's a BC list.
That's definitely a BC list. I'm glad he picked Empire. That was originally cut down on my list. I was just showing Steve that was already in my phone. Too High to Fly, that's a great one. Don't Close Your Eyes. I don't. Oh no, it's not that one. It's Crazy Mary, like with Mick singing. That's a surprise. That's on Erase the Slate. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't. That's an odd one. I'm surprised he threw that in there. Alone Again, classic. Lightning Strikes Again. Like I said. That's a great song. But yeah, definitely a good, different BC list.
All right, Raymond. I
got to be honest. I could not hum how Sunless Days goes. That's one is when you said it, I just could not think of that song. I know it's a leadoff track to like Long Way Home, but I can't place what it is, so I can't really comment on that one. Empire is a good song. It's a good heavy tune. It's different. Like lyrically, it's different from what Dokken normally does. It's kind of weird. It's almost like Iron Maiden lyrics put on a Dokken song. Not my favorite song called Empire, but it's a good song. Too High to Fly is great. I love that whole Dysfunctional album. I missed number 7. You were going really fast. I was trying to write them down. What was after Too High to Fly?
Number 7 was Kiss of Death.
Kiss of Death. Okay, well, we already talked about that one. So, Don't Close Your Eyes, another great, heavy, fast talking song. I disagree with you, BB. Crazy Mary Goes Round. That song is so cool. I love that song. It's one of my favorite songs of the, not even later catalog, but kind of mid catalog of Dokken. I love Mick Brown's vocals. It's just like a good, fun, like kind of throwback rock and roll tune. Lost Behind the Wall for me is the one that kind of jumps out on that list. It's a deep cut on Back to the Attack. Not one of my favorites, and it's a fine song. I think there's not a bad song on that album, but it's kind of lower tier on that record for me. Bullets to Spare, love it. That would be an honorable mention for me. Always one of my favorite tracks from Tooth and Nail, Steve, by the way, not Under Lock and Key.
Okay.
Alone Again, we've talked about it. It's fantastic. I think Motley Crue always gets credit for like creating the power ballads, with Home Sweet Home. But wasn't Alone Again before Home Sweet Home? Or were they the same year?
I think they're the same year, but I'm not sure when the albums came out. But I mean, Crue definitely got more traction because they were a more popular band.
Yeah, I seem to remember hearing Alone Again before Home Sweet Home, but maybe I'm wrong. But anyway, one of the best power ballads of the era, and then Lightning Strikes. And you had it as your number one. I had it as my number two. He has it as his number one. So yeah, it's a top of the heap Dokken tune.
All right, yeah, I'll just comment on a couple of BC's tracks here. And Ray, I'm with you too. Sunless Days, I can't picture that song in my brain. What though?
So I have the results for if Alone Again and Home Sweet the order. So Alone Again, the album Tooth and Nail was released in 1984, but it was released as a single in April of 1985. Home Sweet Home was released September 30th, 1985. So you are right, Ray. Alone Again was first. So there you go. All right. Sorry to interrupt.
No. I'm glad. I was hoping you were looking that up, but I didn't want to interrupt Ray, and I didn't want to bother you. Yeah. So for BC, I'll just Don't Close Your Eyes just fucking rips. That's just another one of those songs that just totally highlights George Lynch tearing it up. Bullets to Spare, another one too, like a deeper track, but just one that just friggin' rips. And some of the other ones you may hear about in a couple seconds, actually. But good list, and actually I just went through, and that's the thing about going last on these. Like there's, especially with a band like Dokken, with so many hits and stuff, I tried to stay away from hits, but there was a couple that I had to put on there. And like a lot of these were talked about from you guys, but I hadn't commented on some of them too. So I'll go through my list. I'm going. There's really no order for me. I love all these songs. I think they're great. A couple I like better than others, and I'll kind of touch on that. So my number 10 is the first song that I ever saw Dokken play live, Unchain the Night. I'm like 90% positive that was a song they opened up with. And Ray, what Twisted Sister? It was maybe 6 shows, I think, on the Come Out and Play tour.
Yeah, there weren't very many. I didn't even realize that until like recently, because I was kind of reminiscing about that show on our Asylum show a while back, and I went back and just started doing some research about the tour. I didn't even realize that tour got the plug pulled on it like after like the second week. I don't know if it was record company issues or what, but yeah, there was only, I want to say under 10 shows. I don't know exactly how many, but I feel very fortunate to have been one of the people that got to see that tour, because it was fucking amazing. I mean, both bands were just incredible.
I do too. I got to see it in Binghamton. The first time I got to see Dokken made a lasting impression on me. Don came out with the hat on that he did the In My Dreams video on. He had that hat on when he came out, I remember. And Unchained the Night, that was a song that stuck out for me that night. So that's always going to be on any kind of top list that I have for Dokken, because you always kind of remember those songs that like really caught your ear, like the first time you saw him, first time I saw Tesla was Coming At You Live. They opened up with that, was fucking crazy. And then when I heard the album, I'm like, how did they not open the album with this anyways? But so then in BC had this on his list, and Ray commented on it too. BB not so much. Wasn't a crazy fan of this one. Crazy Mary Goes Round from Erase the Slate. I love that song. Mick sounds cool on there. The background vocals are cool. There's parts in the song where the background vocals are kind of staggered and like, tell you about Mary. I think it's fucking fantastic. I love how it's kind of a one-off for Dokken. It's more of a fun. I've always thought that song was cool, very fun. It's kind of a deep track on that album too. It's like one of the second or third last song on the album. I also have Alone Again on my list too, because I feel that I will take Alone Again over fucking Home Sweet Home any day. I think it's a
1,000%.
I think it's a better power ballad. I like it. Don's vocals are fantastic on there. And also I have another crossover with BC, Lost Behind the Wall from Back for the Attack. That was a song that I always loved that song. I don't know, it's more of a, it's not really an epic track, but it seems like an epic track for Dokken. I think it's one of the longest songs. I think it's 6 and change or something like that. And for a Dokken song, that's a long fucking song. Absolutely love that one. And literally, I could have just said, you know what, fuck it, I'm just going to put all the tracks from Back for the Attack in a hat, and I'm just going to pick fucking 10 songs out, with the exception of Dream Warriors. Although I got to say, Dylan, that song is growing on me.
It's a good song.
Growing on me. It is. I got it. Because, like, probably 2 weeks ago, after I had picked my list of, I think, 20 songs and put them in a playlist, Dream Warriors came on Sirius XM, and I was like, you know,
well, let me put it to
maybe
you.
I don't hate this as much as I did.
Let me put it to you this way: it's the better of the two, like Nightmare on Elm Street connected songs from bands that you like. Bruce Dickinson's "Bringing Your Daughter to the Slaughter."
Oh, that version's horrible. That version's
versus Dream Warriors.
terrible.
Dream Warriors is much better, I think.
Oh, that's fucking terrible. Wasn't
I didn't realize you didn't like that song, Steve. I've never been a fan of Dream Warriors either. I just think it's contrived. I don't know. I know they wrote it for the movie, which makes it contrived. I just have never been a fan of that song. It's just like an absolute throwaway song for me.
It's growing on me a little bit, but since we've been doing this, I've been against it. It's growing on me a little bit. It's not all the way there. It's not even halfway there.
Nightmare on Elm Street movies.
I don't hate it. It's just, in terms of like the Dokken catalog, like if I was ranking all the songs, it's like in the bottom third.
I want to say that I think that should have been a song. I know it was out then, and you know whatever they put it on, it was probably out before the album was out. Like, do a greatest hits and put it on there. Don't put it on an album, because it's not an album track, because it was a single. I want to say it was out before the album was out. So like,
it was. Yeah.
Let it be its own thing. It's not for me. That's like a bonus track. It's like Rebel Yell on Queensryche DNA. It's an outlier. It's not, like, for me, part of the album. So anyway, and also I think Ray had this one too. Sleepless Night from Back for the Attack. Ray, the bridge in that song is one of the best bridges on a Dokken song. Listen to the music, and then on a sleepless night when they do that part, because it's not really the chorus. It's just like a bridge that's in there. I listened to that today. I'm like, man, this is fantastic. And another a hit I had to put on there, In My Dreams. Always love that song. And I can't separate the video. At the end of the video, when they're doing da-da-da, and it's raining, and then Mick Brown's hitting the doom, doof, doof, and like the water's like coming up off of the fucking drum skins. Love that. I could rewind that and watch that 1,000 times in a row. Absolutely love it. And number 4, Too High to Fly from Dysfunctional. The, in quotations, the reunion album for Dokken came out in 1995, and I think and so it's 8 years after Back for the Attack, after they have all their fighting and shit like that. Then they realize after that, this ain't gonna work anymore again either. But Too High to Fly is just absolutely fantastic. And if you want to check out an awesome, amazing version of Too High to Fly, listen to Live Under the Sun from 2000, the live album with Reb Beach playing the solo on there. Holy shit. I talked to Reb Beach on Monsters of Rock Cruise this year about that album, and he told me, he's like, holy shit. He said people don't even realize I was in Dokken. I said I gotta tell you, I said Too High to Fly on there is fucking amazing. He's like, holy shit, thanks, man. And he said, I'm the only one that's really live on that album. He's the only one that didn't have to do any overdubs on that album.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And he was like kind of flabbergasted that someone even knew he was in fucking Dokken. I'm like, dude, I loved you in Dokken, man. He said, that's so cool, man.
we've got an ongoing joke on Asylum that Red Beach has been in every band. Like, you can't name a band that Red Beach hasn't been associated with. He's like Kevin Bacon, when it comes to
he is.
association.
6 degrees of Red Beach.
But he's got the
Yeah,
he's
no
got
doubt.
the talent to back it up, though. He's
Yeah.
amazing. And
He lives like 20 minutes from me. He lives in Pittsburgh.
I guess he's on the west
Oh, yeah?
west part of PA.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Do you
Yeah,
stalk-
he's a Pittsburgh native, yeah.
do you stalk his house?
I do not.
Oh, come on.
Docking, more like stock.
Stocking, docking.
Stalking, dogging.
That's going to be a new reality show. Each person gets a guy in the band to stock. Lightning Strikes Again. This is on everybody's list. This is the only song I think that was on everybody's list. Closing track on Tooth and Nail, right? Tooth and Nail?
No. It's
No, Under Lock and
closing
Key.
track of side one of Under Lock and Key.
Under Lock and Key, yeah. My God, this song, when you get that lightning and that drum roll during that, that's enough just to make me just like play it over and over again. Friggin' fantastic. And my number 2, I don't think anybody picked anything from this album. It's from the Hell to Pay album, Prozac Nation. Fucking song is awesome. I think Don at some point during the song names like every friggin' drug known to man in there. There's like a spoken word part where he mentions everything. It's just a great song, a fun song. It's got a kind of a like a plinky guitar thing at the beginning. Absolutely fantastic. And I think BB had this one on his, and I had to put it on there. From Erase the Slate, I needed a Red Beach song on here, another Red Beach song on here, actually. Mattis Hatter. My God. And on that Live Under the Sun album, too, when that tempo picks up at the end of that song, it is like, it's just amazing. It's something like that is my, I love the Beast in the East. I love that live album, but that Live Under the Sun is great because if the production on Beast from the East was the production on this one, it would be absolutely stellar. But I will take the Live Under the Sun one. Sorry, George, but and just saying that, I'm just gonna put out there that this one, no one mentioned this at all. So I wasn't gonna mention it if no one else, if someone else did on the show. But Mr. Scary from Back for the Attack. George Lynch's shining moment. I must have seen him play this live. And actually, I'll get into my Doc and Origins. I forgot to even do that. I've seen him play this live with Doc, and I've seen him play it with Lynch Mob. Just absolutely just fucking tears it up. And I would say that probably my favorite version of it is on Back for the Attack because of the all the layered guitars, the rhythm guitars when he's soloing and everything like that. I listened to it today, and it's just amazing. He tears it up on there. So, and for my Doc and Origins, I probably mentioned on the show before, we used to go to Scranton every week and everybody get out. My buddy Chris Dugo, he picked up Breaking the Chains, and we were kind of the same that mind too. You guys where Breaking the Chains is really good, and Paris is Burning is really good, and we didn't really care for too much of the other album. But then when Tooth and Nail came out, I grabbed that, and I'm like, you know what? I like those two songs, and look at this cover. It's cool. It's got like and I'm a huge, massive fan of Creature from the Black Lagoon, and it looks like the Creature from the Black Lagoon's hand coming up on that fucking album. So I'm like, I got to give this a shot. And boy, was I glad that I did. So that's my how I got into them. And I've seen them probably 20 times. I've seen them with George Lynch. I've seen them with Red Beach. I've seen them with John Levin. I don't think I've seen them with John Norum, though. Like I said, I forgot he was even in the band. But right now, the conglomeration of the band, John Levin is a guitar player now, and he's fantastic. I've seen them live with John Levin probably 5 times maybe, and he's a gamer. He shows up and man, he fucking rips it up. He absolutely rips it up. So that's my list. That's BC's list. So what we can do is we'll comment on them. BB, what do you got?
Yeah, Unchained the Night on my list. Great song. Crazy Mary Goes Round. I will. That'll be my homework tonight. I will go home with an open mind and give that another I'll let it sink in because it's on yours and it was on Ray's.
No.
Oh, Crazy Mary.
It was on-
Oh, it was on
It
BC.
was on BC.
It was on BC's. So I'll have to give it a good open mind.
Give it
listen.
another shot.
Yeah. Alone Again on my list. Another great classic song. Lost Behind the Walls from Back for the Attack. Great deep track. On my list of probably the 20 list. Sleepless Nights, another great one. In My Dreams, like I said before, it's just another. I think it didn't make my list just for the tired factor. Too High to Fly from Dysfunctional. I'm glad you picked this one because I was going between that one and Lesser of Two Evils. I'm like, you know what? Somebody's going to pick Too High to Fly. That was the song that pretty much carried that album. Lightning Strikes Again on my list. Great song. Prozac Nation is very surprising. Very surprising. The couple songs that I had from that album, from Hell to Pay was Don't Bring Me Down and Better Off Before. I didn't quite make the list, but I'm glad you brought that album out so that we can at least mention it. And of course, like we said before, Reb and the Mattis Hatter, Erase the Slate, a great album. Great pickup for Don, and he's like, he's that unsung hero in those couple of years he was there. Because even like he said, nobody knows that was in Dokken.
Yeah.
But no, righty, great list, and I will do. I'll go home and listen to Crazy Mary Goes Round.
All right. Ray.
Yeah, just to piggyback on something you just said about Red Beach, can you imagine being the guy that has to replace George Lynch? I mean, what kind of pressure that would be?
Yep.
Coming into a band with like one of the most iconic, hard rock metal guitarists of all time, and having to fill those shoes and to do it as good as he did is really just a testament to what a player Red Beach is. I mean, because he really does just crush that album. You're right, Steve. That live album, Live from the Sun, is so good. He just plays so well on that album. I'm shocked to hear that he had no overdubs at all on that because it's just a phenomenal performance. But yeah, to get into your list, like Unchained Night, we talked about a little bit. A great opening track. I remember that visual as well. That opening of that tour. Crazy Mary Goes Around. I again love it. I think it's just a fun song. It's just very different. It's like a fun kind of just a throwback, kind of down and dirty rock and roll tune. Alone Again, we've talked about ad nauseum, and it's just a great power ballad, maybe the best power ballad of the era. I'm trying to think if there's one I like better. I don't know if there is. And just while we're on that subject, I mean, Dokken's ballads in general, I know, Steve, you're not a big ballad guy, but they've done some great ones, man. Slipping Away off Under Lock and Key is great. I really like Jaded Heart off of Under Lock and Key also, which is a little more, I guess it's still a ballad, but not quite as sappy as Slipping Away. But just over the years, just really, really strong ballads on their albums to this day. I mean, I think their later catalog has a lot of good stuff as well. Lost Behind the Wall is the one I'm going to have to do my homework on because it's been on 2 lists now, and I remember it. I like it. I mean, I like every song on that album, but I'm going to have to go back and dig into that one. It's one I haven't really given much attention to over the years. Sleepless Nights was on my list. Love it. In My Dreams was my number 1. Can't say any more about it. Too High to Fly, great. And I agree with you. That live version is so good. I want to say it's several minutes longer, isn't it, than the regular song, which itself is pretty long, but they drag it out, but they make it really cool. Lightning Strikes Again. I mean, that's kind of the Goocher we've got tonight. I think it's been on everybody's list, maybe. Yeah, it was on everybody's list. Prozac Nation. That's one. I didn't remember that song, and then over the weekend I was listening to the back catalog, and it came on, and it's okay. I need to give it more time. I think I actually put in my notes as I was jotting things down because I thought that song might come up. I think I've heard you talk about it before, Steve. The drug part in the middle where he's like listing, cocaine, Jack Daniels. It's like I could do without that part. It's just kind of boring. It kind of brings the song to a halt. The chorus in that song's a little weak to me, but yeah, it's okay. I mean, I don't dislike it, but I just think I need to listen to it more. Mattis Hatter, I talked about my dislike of the last 40 seconds, but I get what you're saying, though. When the tempo picks up musically, it's really cool. I just don't like all the stuff that Don is doing. All four of these lists, I think, were great lists and great stuff to talk about.
All right, Dylan, any Dokken commentary from you?
I really like George Lynch's guitar work. We got to see George perform with Lynch Mob, and we also got to see Dokken perform with just Don, and everybody else was gone at that point. So I have seen bits and pieces of like the classic Dokken. So, I haven't seen the full band, but I do think that they have a lot of really good stuff. Like everything that I've heard from them is fantastic. Well, not recent live Don, but everything studio-wise has been fantastic. They're just a band that has always kind of been around, and they've been in the background for me. But I can see why a lot of people really love them. I think they have a lot of fantastic elements that at one point combined together for a great band. But, just like with anything else, sometimes the wheels fall off the cart before you could get to the destination. But it's good that everybody is still kind of doing something. You have End Machine and you have Don doing his own thing. So, the pieces are out there in the world separately. But you could also still go back and listen to the original stuff, like everybody mentioned, and some of the newer stuff. But all that stuff will be on the Spotify playlist of the week in the show notes.
Yeah.
And Dokken.
I want to say I think Mick Brown is the one that I've seen the most perform out of all the guys in Dokken. For all the times I've seen Dokken, I've only seen I've never seen Dokken without Mick Brown drumming. Plus, I've seen Mick Brown drumming for Ted Nugent probably 15 times because he was Ted's drummer for a long goddamn time. And so, I would love to see the End Machine, but I think they're one of those bands that like a Frontiers type band where they're just you get the albums because you have three End Machine albums. Robert Mason sang on the first two. Garish sang on this last one. And I'm a massive Robert Mason fan, but I like the End Machine album the best with Garish singing. I think that, and I love Robert's vocals, but I think that Garish dude just fucking gives us such an edge on the music that it makes it heavier. And like I said, I have nothing against Robert Mason's vocals, but I would love to hear and see End Machine live with Garish singing, because the Garish, he's from obviously Garish and the Chronicles, and I think they have 3 albums out maybe, and they're awesome albums. And I think they had, I want to say Sonny and Steven had him on their show, him and maybe one of the other guys from Garish on there, and they're a metal band from India. And they just kick ass. And the Garish guy, he's been on a couple different albums in the last couple of years. He's really got himself out there. So I'm going to be interested to see what he does next. Hey, maybe he'll be the new singer in Skid Row.
I'd never heard his name before, like the last couple of weeks when I
really
listened to that album for the first time. Yeah, I was like, well, that's a different voice. So I started Googling it and looking it up, and I'd never heard his name before, so I got to go back and check out some of his other stuff because he's got a great voice. I love the intensity that he brings to it. It's really, like you said, Steve, just makes it heavier.
He absolutely does. So, fun episode. It took us almost 6 years to do a Dokken episode alone. I think we've done a couple Dokken albums. We did Shadow Life on the Worst of the Best. I think we did.
Yes, we did.
And that was and it turned out okay. I don't think we totally hated it. I think there was something on there on that episode that we liked less. But always fun talking. And we'll go around one more time. We'll say our goodbyes. Ray, when it gets to you, give your goodbyes and give Asylum and that other podcast you do. You can even throw that one out there too.
Yeah.
And read your list over one more time too. And we'll get out. So BB, we'll let you go first though.
All right. First of all, Ray, thanks for your coming on. I know you're busy with the Asylum guys, and in this bozo here, but
Who?
Taking a couple minutes out of your busy schedule to hang out with us, really appreciate it. Talking about Dokken, one of those bands that, like I said before, I think Don just stays in that comfortable pocket of singing, doesn't go crazy. Other than that Shadow Life album, I think his catalog is pretty much spot on, not too much off the beaten path of what they started off the first couple albums. But almost like Ray said, this was a difficult one to do. I really had a tough time actually narrowing down the list because I like this one, you like this one, I like this one. I'm like, boy, I wish this was like a 15 song, could you? But then we're here another hour talking about it. But my list was 10 Lesser of Two Evils from Dysfunctional, 9 Under the Gun from Long Way Home, 8 Alone Again from Tooth and Nail, 7 It's Not Love from Under Lock and Key, 6 Heaven Sent, Back for the Attack, 5 Unchain the Night from Under Lock and Key, Breaking the Change from the same title of the album, Maddest Hatter from Erase the Slate, number 2 Kiss of Death, Back for the Attack, and my number 1 was Lightning Strikes Again from Under Lock and Key.
All right. Dylan, any last statements from you?
Spotify playlist of the week.
Okay.
The show notes.
All right. Maybe you can play a little Garish in there, too.
Okay.
And actually put
Garish and the
BB's
Chronicles.
daughter's song in there, too.
If it's not on Spotify, I will put the YouTube video in the show notes.
Okay, cool.
Perfect.
Yeah, we'll check that out.
Thank you.
All right, Ray.
Yeah, so just to recap my list real quick, number 10 was Sleepless Nights. Number 9, Tooth and Nail from the One Live Night acoustic performance. Number 8, Erase the Slate. Number 7, Prisoner. Number 6, Into the Fire. Number 5 was The Maze. Number 4, Kiss of Death. Number 3, When Heaven Comes Down. Number 2, Lightning Strikes Again. Number 1, In My Dreams. One thing we didn't really touch on too much was the new album, and I just want to encourage everybody, if you listen to it once and didn't like it, give it some more listens, because it really did. It's grown on me. Like, I was turned off by Don's vocals at first. It kind of sounded like he was singing kind of like one note, like the entire album. But then, like, the more you listen to it, like, it really fits his voice, like just kind of what you've said all along tonight, BB. Like, he stays in the pocket, and his pocket has shrunk, unfortunately, over the years. Yeah. And he's still doing the same thing, but he's just doing it differently. And there's some really strong songs on that. There's a song in there called Saving Grace, which I think you guys might have even played a few weeks ago. I remember hearing it on a podcast recently. Really, really strong song. Just barely missed my cut. I had it in my top 20. Really, really strong tune. So check that out if you haven't. Thank you guys for having me on the 2 shows that I'm a part of on a regular basis. The Asylum podcast, which we record every Thursday. We drop every Friday morning. Again, it's we've got a huge back catalog of Kiss centric episodes. And then after the first of this year, we switched it over to just talking hard rock in general. So check us out there. Episodes drop every Friday. And, of course, we've got that other show, Steve, I remember now, the Queensryche podcast, which we do not drop an episode every Friday, as our listeners are frequently telling us. We are on no kind of set schedule. We keep saying we're going to get on a set schedule, and then things happen, and we don't get on that schedule. But we've got, 16, 17 episodes out now, something like that. Most recent one just dropped last week, where we talk about the Conditioned Human album. Getting a lot of really good feedback on that show and a lot of good interaction from the audience. So just thank everybody for listening. And I want to thank you guys, because I spend a lot of this first time I ever met you guys, and not even in person, but just over the airwaves here. I spend a lot of time with you guys, listening to your show every week. Really feel like I already know you guys, and just enjoy the banter and the friendship that you guys have. It's good to just hear people who've been like lifelong friends, and even that for Steve to have your son involved. Like, it's just a very cool format, very cool show. And I just want to thank you guys for the hours and hours of entertainment you've given me, and also for like turning me on to new music, because For those of you that don't know, they say I've got 27 bands I listen to. My guy's on the Asylum, and that's it. And it's the same 27 bands I've been listening to since 1983. I don't do a lot of new music. But recently I've been trying to branch out a little bit more. And your episode where you did like the top albums of 23, then I went back and listened to last year's episode of the top albums of 22. I've really latched onto a lot of the stuff that you guys recommended, and really a lot of really good stuff that you've opened my eyes to. So I really appreciate your breadth of knowledge and just what you bring to this topic, because you guys are great at what you do, and I just wanted to thank you for that while I'm on the air with you.
All right, Ray. First and foremost, thank you for coming on with us. I've been hoping to getting you on here for a while, and I know I wanted to pick something that was in your wheelhouse, and I wanted to pick one of your 27 bands that you listen to get you on the show. And and thanks for the kind words for sure. We appreciate you checking us out over the years, and so apparently something that we're talking about, BB, here is working
after
at least
356 episodes.
At least
somebody's listening out there.
One listener, and since we've been doing the Queensryche podcast with Ray, I have been pushing him to check out new stuff, and he's getting there. He's getting there. And
BB, what is it you say?
Old music is new music.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I meant to touch on the new album too as we were going here. I really enjoy it. I liked it. I actually liked it from the first listen, because I wasn't expecting Don to like go for it like he did in 1987. Not many guys that are still around can do that, and I give Don I give him kudos for not trying to do that, for sticking in his lane and not trying to go crazy. I think he does. BB said it. He sings in that pocket, and the music is great on that. The band is great. John Levin fucking tears it up on that album. So give it a shot. Give it a shot. Trust me, I will take Don Dokkens' vocals on this new album over Ace Frehley's vocals on his new album any fucking day.
1,000,000%.
Well, that goes without saying.
I know that, but I gotta throw that out there. So if you can tolerate.
Do you guys like that? That album is horrible. Like, I can't even get through it. It's just horrendously bad.
I like it. Oh my god!
Really?
I don't. Ugh. I like probably 3/4 of it. I'm not listening to it every week, but I do like probably 3/4 of it. But and I appreciate that Don doesn't try to out sing what he can sing. So Dokkens always been.
No, I'm talking about Ace Frehley, not the Dokken album.
Or I mean,
I'm talking 10,000 volts.
But I mean, Don doesn't like try to do what he can't do. And Ace, there's some times where I've said it before. When Ace has time to think about how he sings, it sounds like ass. When he sings something that's rapid, he doesn't have time to think about that. He just sings it. I would rather that. So, but Don stays in his lane, and the music is great. So I'm just glad if that's Don's final album, I am happy with that for sure. And Dokken's always been a band that have always been on my radar since. I got to say, we probably started listening to them maybe a couple months after Tooth and Nail came out, and I've been with them ever since. And I think there's maybe one or two that I don't have on CD. I have all the classic ones on vinyl. I have the new one on vinyl, but all the other ones, except for maybe the exception of two, I don't have on a physical copy. But guys out there, if you are unaware or haven't tried out some of these other albums, you may not like everything on them, but there's a lot of good songs that you can have a really good, solid Dokken playlist if you just cherry pick some songs off of those albums, like from like Dysfunctional on. You could definitely get a good playlist besides the really good classic stuff that you have out there. So once again, BB, awesome job. Dylan, thank you for what you do. Awesome job. Ray, thank you once again for coming on. Guys, check out Ray's other podcast, Asylum. Those guys are a blast to have on there. They have a great chemistry on there as well. The ball busting is relentless as it is on here, and it's a fun show. They do a lot of different stuff, and I'm so happy that you guys have branched out into other areas of rock and metal, and I think it's great.
Oh, me too.
Yeah, and So check them out, and check out our Queensryche podcast too. I remember now, the Queensryche podcast. Ray and I have a great time doing it. We're going to be recording, I think, in not this week, the week after. I think we're going to be having another one out, and we have some cool stuff planned. And so check out Asylum. Check our back episodes out. Check out I Remember Now. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. We will see you next time, and there definitely will be a next time.